pretty clearly to me, would you say he's been the most impactful rookie as far as affecting winning so far? I thought Chet Holmgren just looked really good in the second quarter as a rim protector. He was just causing big problems for any Cav who was trying to finish on the inside, including Evan Mobley.
Going back to Chet Holmgren, something that I noticed, and then Jared Dubin put together a video on it, was that Holmgren had 7 credited blocks in the 108-105 victory over Cleveland. And at least a significant majority, it might have been all of them, were blocked and stayed in bounds, which that opens things up. First of all, it doesn't guarantee that you will get possession, but it also doesn't guarantee that you won't. Because knocking it 5 rows back, that makes you feel good potentially, but it means that it's going to be the other team's ball. That I want to keep an eye on that, and really, how does OKC benefit from that sort of an approach? But
well, can I talk a little bit about that too? I mean, Chet, he's not like a Skywalker.
No.
The guy I always think of who would just send shot blocks way out of bounds. Kenyon Martin, the original Kenyon Martin, he would just fly over, pop off the ground, and just send it into the 19th row. And Chet doesn't block shots like that. He is a lot of times on the ball, or he's just coming in from behind, and he's almost getting kind of Tim Duncan style of blocks. Tim would get a lot of blocks without jumping, and Chet's kind of that way. And Tim also would keep his blocks in bounds because he's really getting it pretty close to the guy's hands, hand on top of the ball, rather than kind of once it's left the guy's hand, slamming it off the backboard or out of bounds or something like that. So yeah, this style of shot blocks that he has, I think those are more likely to stay in bounds because he's kind of just staying solid more. He's not skywalking to go get these. When it's way up in the air, it's harder to keep it in bounds.
It is. And so I want to keep, we're seeing Chet Holmgren. They don't have any of big man Jalen Williams, so the rotation's a little bit different in terms of interior players, if you want to even call them that. But I also thought that particularly the first half was a good showcase of Holmgren's offensive game. He had a nice dribble drive and a 3. And then in the mid-third quarter, Holmgren had a drive Euro step finger roll sequence that was pretty impressive. And my early take, going back to his Gonzaga film, and some of the Summer League stuff as well, was that Holmgren, I thought he was a little bit underappreciated as an offensive talent, and maybe at times a little overappreciated as a defensive talent. I've grown to become more of a believer in his defense during the limited regular season NBA action he's had. But the idea that Holmgren, he makes decisions quickly, he generally makes pretty good ones, and he has a lot of the skill set that works for a complimentary big. I love some of the stuff that OKC is already doing with Holmgren and kind of the handoff game. And you think about somebody like Al Horford, who it didn't necessarily take him a long time to pick it up, but it took the league a long time to incorporate all the things that guys like that could do well. And I think with Holmgren, especially because his handle is actually pretty tight for somebody his size, there are ways to incorporate that, even if he's never, in all likelihood, going to be a number one option.
Yeah, and he makes some quick decisions. I think he's actually been at his best attacking closeouts, and he's been shooting it well enough to earn a closeout. As I noted in preseason, he's not the quickest release necessarily, but it helps when you're 7-1 in that regard. And guys are respecting it, and he's kind of tightened up that spin move. There is a little bit more space than, say, in a summer league type of setting. So he's looked better there. One of the things that I was so interested, you mentioned just his overall offensive game, is, okay, what if teams switch pick and roll with Chet? Number one, he hasn't even really been used that much as a screener.
Sure.
I thought that was something that would be used a lot in particular. He's only got 3 possessions rolling to the basket, and then another 2 where he slipped the pick, and that's now through 3 games, including their game against Denver. So I was like, okay, what if they run pick and roll and then they switch? Is he going to be able to beat guys in the post? He has 0 post-up possessions so far, which is 1 fewer than he has as a pick and roll ball handler. Would like to see him do a little more on the offensive glass. Only 2 putback possessions so far, but I think pretty clearly to me, would you say he's been the most impactful rookie as far as affecting winning so far?
I mean, Victor Wembanyama's had some pretty good performances, but yeah, I think that's probably fair.